Hello and welcome to this week's Emerge 5, where we explore new tech, upcoming companies, common industry issues, and the brilliant people behind it all. Now, in this week's episode, we're going to be looking at non-profit organizations helping women in tech. And I have to say, these are in no set order, as each one does important, fantastic work. So I'm very, very excited to be speaking about the subject matter. And of course, please stick around to the end of the show for a special interview with our number one company. So let's get started. Kicking us off at number 5, we have AnitaB.org. Now, probably the most well-known and most established organization on our list. Anita Borg, a computer scientist, founded this digital community for women in computing in 1987. AnitaB.org works with technologists in more than 80 countries and partners with academic institutions and Fortune 500 companies worldwide. Their goal is for the people who imagine and build technology to mirror the people and societies for whom they build it. Still to this day, they continue their global outreach to women through in-person and online programs such as the Abby Awards, AnitaB.org local communities, and a variety of social networks. At number 4, we have Girls Who Code. Unfortunately, the gender gap in computing is getting worse, not better. In 1995, 37% of computer scientists were women. Today, it's only 24%, and this will continue to decline. Girls Who Code is looking to change that number drastically by closing the gender gap in new entry-level tech jobs by 2027. They've been able to reach 500 million people through online resources, campaigns, books, and advocacy work around the world. 300,000 girls have been served through their in-person programming, including their summer immersion program, clubs and college loops, and finally, half of the girls they serve come from historically underrepresented groups, including girls who are Black, Latinx, or from low-income backgrounds. Coming in at number 3, we have Developer. Developer has very specific goals. By 2025, they want to facilitate skills-based events for 10,000 community members, empower 2,000 community members to make courageous career decisions, spotlight and connect 1,000 women in tech to lift each other up, and amplify the voice of the Developer community where it matters most in government and business. They also organize regular events in London with high-profile women speakers and amazing partners from tech companies that support their cause. They are focused on tech innovation and entrepreneurship, but never about gender, because they truly believe that together we are better. Coming in at number 2, we have Black Girls Code. Now, Black Girls Code reaches out to the community through workshops and after-school programs and introduces computer coding lessons to young girls from underrepresented communities in programming languages such as Scratch or Ruby on Rails. They promote classes and programs that hope to grow the number of women of color working in technology and give underprivileged girls a chance to become the masters of their technological worlds. Black Girls Code's ultimate goal is to provide African American youth with the skills to occupy some of the 1.4 million computing jobs openings expected to be available in the US by 2020 and to train 1 million girls by 2040. And here we are at our number 1 slot, and this week we are featuring Code First Girls. Code First Girls are dedicated to transforming tech by providing the skills, space, and inspiration for women to become innovative developers and future leaders. Just last month, the company announced that it had surpassed its 2017 campaign goal to teach over 20,000 young women to code in the UK for free. They are now the largest provider of free coding courses for women, having delivered over £14 million worth of free technology education. Through partnership with Goldman Sachs, Bank of America, KKR, OVH Cloud, and Trainline, in the last year alone, CFG has taught over 3 times as many women to code than the entire UK university undergraduate system. As part of its ongoing commitment to bridge the gender gap in the tech industry, CFG has pledged to double its community of women in technology in 2021 in an effort to close the growing skills gap in the UK. I literally don't have enough time to list all of the amazing things that this organization is doing. So, to lend a helping hand, please welcome Code First Girls CEO Anna Brailsford. So Anna, welcome to the show and thank you so much for coming on today.
Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. And as I was kind of saying in the introduction there, very, very cool company that Code First Girls, and the work that you guys are doing is so interesting. And I wanted to start off here by asking, what was your inspiration for kind of getting involved with the company, and what kind of led you to that point?
It's a long but interesting journey. I literally started off in my mum's business whilst I was still a student. So I think I learned a lot about entrepreneurship and women leading businesses through my family. And then when I got out of uni and kind of joined the real world, I had a number of roles within education. And I ended up being at lynda.com, which became the first kind of edtech unicorn in history, which was super exciting. So I was a director there. But I have to say, I think with Code First Girls, what made it different was it's just such a unique proposition to be able to educate women and to provide education for free, to create opportunities. I have to say there's not really any sort of experience that I think can compare to that. So I certainly think that the mission of the company is very, very difficult to replicate. So it's incredibly unique.
No, I think you're 100% right. It's interesting to have that kind of job that's so rewarding and is able to give so much back to you as well. You're making a difference for a widespread number of people and across the whole industry as well, which is so imperative. And one thing I also wanted to talk about is when I had the information sent through and I did my research on this, the most shocking standout for me was the 17% of IT professionals being women is kind of mind-boggling when you think about how big this industry is at the end of the day. So CFG has done great work already with the campaigns it's done, the goals, and it's really reduced the gender and skills gap. But from your perspective, what are the milestones that you still want to hit to see that kind of noticeable change come about, and how is that going to be achieved, especially coming into the new year?
I think, it's really interesting that you use the word IT, and that's not incorrect. I just think there's a lot of preconceptions about IT. It's really interesting. When people use the word IT versus tech, the reaction tends to be very, very different. Historically, know that there aren't that many women in IT, and that's traditionally because not that many women study computer science. Around about 19% computer science degree students are women. But when we talk about tech, and when we start talking about how ubiquitous technology is, when we start talking about apps, your favorite websites, APIs, artificial intelligence, this is actually an incredibly exciting world to be in. It is the future of jobs, effectively. So when we go out and we talk to women and we get women inspired around technology, we typically do it around either creating a website, creating an app, understanding what a database is, creating APIs, looking at exciting algorithms that actually can have a very, very big social impact. So I think the first step is actually kind of demystifying what technology is and embracing just how exciting this arena is for women, and then showing them tangibly how they can make a difference and the type of social impact that they can have.
Yeah, which is so important and really great to hear that there are those initiatives taking place and a lot of organizations are taking those steps. But it leads me to my next question of, outside of CFG's goals and what we're discussing here, there are widespread issues across the tech industry. We're all aware of it. And unfortunately, some companies you're not going to be able to reach. And that's beyond frustrating at the end of the day. We can both see that coming. So if you and me were to walk into one of these typical, and I'm going to put air quotes here, of old school companies who see no issues with their workforce, and you are perfectly free to grab them by the shoulders and give them a shake, what would you say to them to kind of wake them up and address internal issues within companies to kind of help that equal representation really become a reality?
I think companies should really, really be urged to look at either who their users are or who their customers are. If they want to sell to 50% of the world and do that incredibly well, just keep hiring men. We'll do a really good job of that. But if you want to take 100% market share, you need diversity of thought when you build products or you create companies. Even when you have people that don't really get it for its more qualitative values of why there's value in taking more women into the industry, all you've got to kind of present to them is, well, do you want to sell to 50% of the market, or do you want to sell to 100% of the market? Because a product or a business should really represent your customers and your market. It should represent how diverse that is. If it doesn't, you're probably missing a very, very big trick. It will affect how people perceive your business and the way people buy your products. I think we've seen a really big sea change in the way consumers in particular pick companies and pick products. And you can see it in advertising, you can see it in many CSR campaigns. We have a much more discerning generation now when it comes to things like climate change, when it comes to things like gender equality, racial equality. I feel like we have entered, there's been a sea change almost. And quite frankly, a lot of companies that are realizing that too late are almost being punished, I think, by the consumer. So my message would be like, wake up and look around you, because you will feel the backlash. And if you don't do it now, you're certainly going to feel it within the next 5 to 10 years' time.
Exactly. I couldn't agree more. I think that's a perfect point to make. And Anna, it's been a pleasure speaking to you today. Thank you so much for coming on. The fantastic work that you guys are doing at the company. I can see many more years of success. So thank you so much for coming on, and I really appreciate the chat.
You're welcome. Thank you so much.
And that's a wrap on this week's Emerge 5. Thank you very much for joining us on this week's episode. And to all of the companies that we featured, thank you for your amazing work and dedication that you're putting into such an important issue. We can't wait to see where this grows in the future. We'll be back next week, of course, with another episode in our Emerge 5 series. In the meantime, please join the conversation at EM360 on Twitter and LinkedIn. Subscribe to this YouTube channel. And of course, for more great daily content, please head on over to em360tech.com.